Congratulate everybody who's been supporting the show this week. Every day, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 days a week. Uh, for making this like 4 record days out of 7. Yesterday, uh, with Trevor, we just blew it out of the water. And I can't tell you how excited and hopeful and optimistic towards this next week. This is on its way. The train's left the station. Sirkin's here. Gretchen, let me introduce. Well, first, you got to meet Sarah. I met her through LinkedIn Live, and we had a great conversation. And I can tell you, I talked to a lot of people, and Sarah's just top of the list. So a surefire win is to reach out, look at Sarah's profile, and if aligns with you, get a quality connection. One of the best on LinkedIn. So with that said, Sarah, share.
Wow, Don, thank you so much. I'm honored. Hi, everyone. Gretchen and Allegra and Paul and Sirkin. Hey, I'm Sarah Dawkins. I'm a holistic health coach, and I help people to find and heal the root cause of their problems. And previously, I was a registered nurse for 20 years. So I obviously changed my limiting beliefs that the only way to heal is through medicine and pharmaceuticals into supporting my body to heal itself of whatever symptoms came about. So how can I help you today?
Well, that's a great start. And the way to help everybody is to promote them, share them. People are getting 1,036% increase in profile views who show up on the screen. Why not step out of the shadows, be proud, get loud, at least be seen, and let the universe take over. So with that said, we've got Sirkin here. Hope I pronounce everybody's name well. Thank you so much for taking the time today. Gretchen, everybody knows Gretchen. We do one every Monday morning, 11 a.m. Gretchen Skelka. We've been doing it for a couple months. Actually, Gretchen did 2 last week and knocked it out of the park. And Gretchen's just an example and a model of how once you get walking up the right ladder against the right wall instead of the wrong wall, how it all comes together for you. And when you can get a tailwind instead of a headwind, and reinvent yourself with a bunch of wonderful people and really start this thing into a wildfire that just keeps growing. So thank you, Gretchen. Can't wait to get on the air with you again tomorrow. Paul's here. Paul's a great guy. Happy Sunday. Grateful to be here. Paul's a great modern financial advisor, and Paul's going to have a chance to co-host too. And that's the key. Everybody should elevate. Everybody should reach down, give everybody a helping hand to get them where we are, and keep ratcheting it up together. Make it fun. Make it climbing the mountain. Allegra, hey there. Allegra is just unbelievably great. She comes up with some of the best thought-provoking comments and thoughts.
Can I jump in here, Don? Can I jump in here? Because Gretchen's asked, when it comes to healing yourself, what's the most challenging situation you faced? For me personally, it was a suicidal depression. And the doctor wanted to put me on antidepressants, obviously, but I didn't want to do that. So I walked out of his office saying, I don't know what I'm going to do, how I'm going to heal it, but I know I'm going to find a way to heal myself. And I had absolutely no idea. And it was just through every day, day after day after day, I found myself learning the art of mindfulness, but I didn't know what it was until like months and months later. So that was quite some doing, healing that suicidal depression. And I think that was my most challenging. But actually, that was pivotal to turning my life around. And sometimes when we get those challenging situations, whether it's a health problem or any sort of challenging situation, it's about how we look at it, because our eyes we view our lives through the filter of our life's experiences that we've built up over time. And all of the decisions that we make are based on those life filters. So if we can look at the situation that we're in that's challenging and say, how am I viewing this? Am I viewing this now through the filters that I've built up over my life on autopilot? Or can I look at this differently through new eyes? Can I let go of my beliefs from the past and look at it through, as I say, new eyes? And am I able to change my beliefs? Like I changed my belief that I needed pharmaceuticals brought up in the medical model to the fact that I could support my body and heal myself. So what belief system are we using when we come across those challenging situations? And what changes can we make to that belief system that supports us in the life that we're in now, rather than recycling our past into our present and our future?
Well, I can't thank you enough for sharing. And you don't know how many people you've just helped. And when we talk about getting, takeaways from the show, usually a lot of it's strategic, a lot of it's relationship, networking, connecting. But what we talked about even prior to the show, it's really feeling. And when you can feel someone's feelings, not only does it maybe change your feelings, and it probably does, but it helps you understand you're not alone.
Yeah.
Right? And the purpose of a group like this for LinkedIn is there's way too many people who are alone. Way too many people have wonderful stories that deserve to be told, but don't have a platform. And they make you create your own platform. Like here's a hammer and nails, build a tower. And when you get up there, you can talk as well as the people already have a tower. Well, why not start together at the bottom with each other? And we were just talking, this is morphing, and I'm following it. I love organic things, and I love things that are grown by many people locking arms and working together, meeting by plan, not accident, and build a culture first and then bring the people into it, where most people are getting the people first. And the culture turns out to be about the people that are there first. Who was there before me and now they're there and I'm not, and I'm better, whatever. Let me just introduce the people. Allegra, Carla's a guest this Wednesday. Carla's just a great individual, and that's what I'm doing. Everybody who's here is going to get promoted. Everybody who's here can have a chance at co-hosting, get your day in the sun. And the other thing is I'm going to promote everybody after this. So the best comments of the week go into my weekly newsletter. I tag everybody after this, about 100 people. So, just what you work so hard to do to get attention, you could catch a ride here and get the attention for you, and then focus on your core competency, which isn't LinkedIn, which isn't marketing possibly. And do it together. 1/10 of a big thing is better than 100% of a small thing. So, Dennis is here. Dennis is our rhymer. I didn't even look, and I know. Hot Fire Connection, working to heal and help bodies stay healthy and wealthy. Dennis is the best. It's like the part of the band, for this Sunday get together. Dennis, because you have inspiring guests like Sarah. Kindness goes so far and is in such rare supply as far as sincere kindness, and this is the exact opposite of what most people experience on LinkedIn, which is spamming, look here, look there kind of thing. Carla. Oh, Gretchen Skalka's on fire. Tell me about it. And the fun thing about the co-host is we grow together, right? It establishes a beginning, and then you get to choose who you dedicate and invest your time with in relationship to who gives you the most happiness. And that's what I always distill it down to, is if you're happy, you're successful. Okay, let's keep going.
Can I just jump in there a little way back? Paul put something about, I think he said about people pleasing and not taking time out for self-care. And that self-care is really important. It was a few messages back. I just caught a glimpse of it. And we can get into that people pleasing mode because it's shaped who we've become. When we were little, we learned behaviors that made us feel good. There we go. Yeah, taking care of other people. And in taking care of them, you wanting to help them and to please them and putting them before yourself. And it's a learned behavior, and we do that because we want to be liked, but we also want to make those people happy. So we change ourselves and our behaviors, and we move away from our true authentic self into somebody who helps others, who pleases others, who puts others before themselves rather than taking care of themselves. And when you don't take care of yourself, that massively impacts your health, and that can spiral you down into a depression or definitely into a low mood. So we need to identify that self-care isn't selfish. It's really important and very necessary. And carve out some time every day, even if it's only 5 minutes, sit down with a coffee or put your feet up or have a text message with a friend. But you absolutely need to know what nourishes your soul, whether that's outside, inside, reading a book, talking to people, swimming in the sea, whatever it is, you need to do that. And whether it's something that you can plan every week or something that you can carve out every day, it's absolutely very important to undertake self-care. And that is one of the elements that is part of healing. And I think it was Gretchen and Carla both said they want to know about my book. Oops, mirrored image, Heal Yourself.
Okay, I'm falling behind.
Sorry. At the top.
So here's one. So here's Carla. Okay, without medicine. You know what I would suggest? It just demonstrates how valuable Sarah's experience and knowledge is. And, use this as a springboard to set up future conversations to go into, more and more detail. And, Sarah's into some pretty incredible things that could affect so many people who need it. You've got a conference coming up.
I've just done a live online summit with 15 guest speakers over 7.5 hours. They're all on my YouTube channel, broken down into the speakers themselves. And my YouTube is at Sarah Dawkins Essential Health. So you can find all the speakers broken down that's into their own presentation on my YouTube channel. But somebody said more about depression. I feel I had to go through that to change the person who I'd become, the people pleaser that wanted to put other people first. I had to break down before I could break out and rebuild, like was mentioned about tower is power. You can't build a tower on poor foundations. And sometimes you have to be broken down. And more is achieved from the bottom than is ever achieved from the top, because when we're at the bottom, we have so much to learn. And a big takeaway from healing the depression is be mindfulness, be right in that moment. The past has gone and the future's not here. There is only this now moment, right here, right now. And when the future comes, that will also be a now moment. There is only this now moment. There is nothing else. So be present in it, use all your senses and ground yourself in it. And that's mindfulness. And practice gratitude. I look back now and I'm so grateful that I didn't actually take my life, because I actually really didn't want to take my life. I just wanted the pain that I was in to stop. So practice gratitude. Look for the little things. It's that good cup of coffee. It's seeing that speck of blue sky in the grey. It's seeing some flowers on the floor. It's a message from a friend. Anything, but just practice gratitude for that. And do some meditation. Go on YouTube and find a short 5-minute meditation. somebody's voice that you like, on something that you want to hear, whether it's depression, low mood, anxiety, finding joy, finding happiness, finding peace, anything, and build it up from there. And all you can do is be in that moment at that time. And it's very difficult when somebody's depressed for them to reach out to somebody else. And people say, my door's always open, just ring me. Depressed people don't reach out. You have to reach into them. So if you know somebody that's depressed, reach out to them, even if it's just send them a text message, can I get you anything? I'm thinking of you. I'm just sending a bit of love. Can I pick you up and take you shopping? Or can I come out? Can I take you for a walk in the park? Or anything, but just be really in that moment with them. And the other thing is magnesium. I'm not big on recommending supplements, but magnesium is really, really crucial for people with low mood and depression, because we tend to all be deficient in magnesium because our soil is so over farmed that the nutrients have gone, and magnesium is a huge important element for heart health, neurological brain health, just health overall in general, and it helps to lift mood. And magnesium oil, you can spray it on your body if you've got any pain, any inflammation. Its main job is reduction of inflammation, and inflammation is the root cause of all health problems, unless you've sort of had an accident. Mm-hmm. So magnesium oil, practice gratitude, mindfulness, and do some meditation, and just sort of ground yourself in that moment.
Well, that's a lot of wonderful advice. And I know everybody was listening to it, because I know everybody connected and related to you just from the beginning of the show. And, building trust is essential. And, I know one thing is I learned more on the way down than I ever learned on the way up. And what I learned is your support group is everything.
Yes.
To get out of a ditch, you need people to give you a helping hand or be there for you. And what I always did is get around more people. I joined Toastmasters and got around all these people who were speakers. I joined community situations around, because what I learned is when you can involve yourself in something bigger than yourself, you forget about yourself, right? Yeah. When you're helping others and you're needed, and you're needed, and more importantly, to Sarah's point, the gratitude you give is the gratitude someone receives. And most people don't get any gratitude from anywhere, and they know in their present circle it's not coming. And I think, to Sarah's point, the pain is being alone, and being on your own, and the loop that goes through your head is not your friend. And you have to ask yourself, why do you bully yourself in ways you would never talk to even a stranger, let alone a friend, let alone yourself? And there was a lady who changed my life one day, and she was a very significant business lady, was on the Federal Reserve Board and all this other stuff. And we had breakfast, and she said, every day you have a choice. You can be happy or you can be unhappy, and you're the only one who can choose that. And whichever way you choose is how it's going to go. So, it's easy to say, like Sarah says, you can get knowledge and information everywhere else, but you can't get a helping hand that's there for you. Allegra says, Allegra, Christy, I'm talking to Christy this week. Love that analogy. Christy Howard has lived a life of being a phoenix many times in my 61 years. Here's Christy's original comment. Being broken down, I get the visual of a phoenix that is burning yet it rises up. We have to be kind to ourselves. Exactly. You know what you got to do is set the lowest bar you can to be happy with yourself as early in the day as possible. Whatever you do, you do. You can't unring a bell, right? But you can forgive yourself as fast as you can. You can remember when you were on the stage and got the award. There's happy times that you should never forget and you should bring to the surface. And the question is, why choose this when you could have chose that? And you can still choose it. And Christy says, Allegra, okay, we talked about that. Bernard is here. True. I haven't seen you in the past, Bernard. Welcome. And thanks for taking the first step to interaction. I mean, what are you on LinkedIn for in the first place? And the main thing is finding aligned, considerate people. Beautiful, Sarah. I totally connected to everything you said. See, you're helping people by the second, and this could be something that spread. It will spread, and this is evergreen material to be seen over and over again, and the lessons will be taught over and again, and that's the benefit of residual income. You know, and some comes in money, but anything you do today that continues to build value tomorrow is more important than transactional situations today that don't go beyond today. Sarah, I resonate so much to what you say. Christy, how you and me both, it's a constant overcoming and becoming.
Yeah.
Carla, Sarah's website, check it out. See, and I told Sarah, you don't have to promote yourself. This is not a salesy. This is not look at me. I mentioned the motto is be interested, not interesting. And when you take an interest in people, you're fortifying a need that a lot of times hasn't been nourished, right? And is yearning for someone to tell somebody you're okay, it's going to be okay. I know how you feel. I felt the same way until I found out. You know, and all you want to do is get someone to give themselves another day. I think the fascinating thing I've experienced is that there's no way I could ever repay my mentors for how much they helped me, but I can pay it forward. Gratitude and positivity are contagious. And I'll tell you a quick story. I met a gentleman over dinner at the Mansion of Turtle Creek in Dallas. It was a big conference. And at the very end, a guy gives me an elbow. And I'm just thinking, what's going on? And he says, are you going to eat that cheesecake? You know? And I said, no. And I didn't touch it, please. And I got a glass of wine, never drank it. I gave it to him. Turned out, long story short, he turned out to be a billionaire and became a partner for 12 years, you know? And at the end, after 12 years, I said, Fred, and he was an older gentleman, I think I can take it from here. And he said, I've been waiting so long for you to tell me that. And I said to him, what can I ever do to repay you? And I knew there wasn't probably anything. And he said, find somebody like yourself and do the same thing for them. You know, and he said, if you ever need something, I'm always there, you know? And it came from that cheesecake. If I would have said no, I would have never known what 12 years with this gentleman would have done. So, you know, always err on the side of belief. You know, if you have belief, it's like the checks in the mail. So, yeah, pay it forward. Gratitude, it works. It's not only the best thing to do, the thing you should enjoy doing the most, but it's the most efficient for everybody because it serves everybody. Too many people are looking for a bigger piece of the pie instead of making the pie bigger for everybody. Right? And having a pie that never shrinks. Allegra?
And can I jump in there and say that random acts of kindness cost nothing? You know, we don't have to pay to be kind. And it's like giving your cheesecake away to that gentleman. We can all do things like hold doors open, give people a hug, you know, offer whatever we can whenever we can.
Well, and that's the topic today is give to get. And the more you give, the more you'll get. I know it sounds strange because everybody's raised in take care of yourself first, get as much as you can, climb as fast as you can, versus build as much as you can with as many as you can. I believe in the human spirit. I believe in collaboration. And when you leverage even a small group against a big opportunity, that has no competition based on intention. There's people that could have better production value, better everything, but you don't feel that, you see it, you hear it. Like Sarah says, the things you take away don't stop because wherever you go after this live show, you're going to bring the new you that wasn't there when it started to everybody around you, right? And you don't know how thrilled people are when people grow and more importantly, when they're happy. You ever been around happy people? It's so much more pleasure than dealing with people, right? And instead of helping people get out of where they're at and get where they need to be, then it saves all that trouble that's ongoing in the future for you and them. And it takes your mind into a more clearer space than worry, fear, optimism, excitement. The world, like I say, sometimes you wake up and you think this world is the greatest place in the world. And the next day you wake up miserable and you ask yourself, how could have it changed so quickly? And it's really just catching yourself. It's not how many times you fail, it's how fast you get up. Just feedback. And, it's so great when we have people like Sarah and Gretchen and Carla and Paul, because you can't harmonize unless you relate to it, right? Unless you commit to it and dedicate. So what's your thoughts on all this experience of interaction and comments and people you never saw before?
Well, I was just going to jump in there actually, Don, about your choice. We do have the choice to be happy, but also when we feel triggered, I'm not a lover of that word, but when we feel triggered, when somebody riles us, makes us angry, or we get frustrated, if we just take a stop and take a moment and go into ourselves and go, why did that make me feel like I'm feeling? What is the underlying belief that's caused me to have this reaction to something external? And that is the start of us becoming conscious of our belief system. And if the belief that we had in the past doesn't serve us now, like I said, we can change it. So the next time somebody upsets you or angers you or triggers you, take a moment and think, what is the belief that underpins that, and what is the origin of that belief? And can I change that? Or can I heal that? Or can I let go of something that happened in my past that's caused me to feel like I am now? What can I do to change it? What can I do to move forward and past that?
Well, and that's a great point. And in addition to it, because I'm heavily into introspection, and that's another great thing about LinkedIn Live. It gives me and everybody a chance to let everything out and open up everything for what can be. And maybe it's some of what you let out, you bring back. But reinventing yourself every day, right? Yesterday doesn't have to define tomorrow. Yesterday could just be a launching pad for tomorrow. Some things that, like rocket boosters, get you up. They let other things take over. Christine had a same story as me type. And what it is being available, being accessible, hearing what's going on, and what it showed is my natural tendency was to give, not to withhold. There's a saying, when the pain of holding on is greater than the fear of letting go, you let go. And sometimes, like Sarah said, it takes that time. Gretchen, I'm loving all these great comments. Gretchen's at the front end of this thing, and this is so big, and that's what amazes me. And I just want such a small part of it. I'm happy to just facilitate, keep the culture going, keep people motivated. There was a comment this week that I gave up coffee because I get a better boost here. When you turn your attention from the external world and direct your attention to within, you can see the grand design of your life, and what you once perceived as a big black mark was actually a beautiful part of the wings of a butterfly. Boy, that is so poetic, so heartfelt, Allegra. People get to shine, and there's so much beauty in everybody. There's so much greatness in everybody. And sometimes they just need an ignition. They just need a launching pad. And, more importantly, a kind, safe meeting place. And that's what I'm hoping to make this, is where everybody figures at 11 a.m. That's why I do it 7 days a week. So there's no mystery. There's no guesswork. You know, what they say online is make it easy. Don't make it people think too much. Don't make people do too much. So if you can take the responsibility that is shared by so many, with so many, that doesn't engage people, I just know you've got a place every day, and you can come in a half hour late. You can come in the last 5 minutes, whatever you want. It's a buffet. You know, stay as long as you want, eat as fast as you want, move on, because it's about you, right? Not about us. Because what this is proving is everything does come back to you that people provide. Sarah could have started with a 10-minute pitch. You know, here's my book, here's what I do, here's what I've done. And you know what? People would have just got bored, you know? But if people now say, let me help you while I'm here, everybody wants to learn more then about what you didn't have to spend time telling them about, but they can reach out instead of you grabbing, you know? And I think that's so essential. So let me just, Paul, agree with you. Okay. I like to use my past to drive me forward instead of holding me back. And, you know, not only drive forward, but you've got a reverse gear, you've got a neutral gear, you've got a park gear. Use them when you need them. You know, a lot of times if you don't know what you're doing or where you're at, look at a flower. You know, take your attention to something that's always been there. You know, when I tell people, so many people walk over dollars to pick up pennies, you know, and they major in the minors, and they're so focused on little stuff and keeping score. It's almost like they're almost their own time stealer. This is a kind, safe meeting place, and it's going to be that way, you know, and because it works. Why wouldn't you? Where's the advantage to the opposite? Kevin's here. Kevin's been here quite a bit. Glad you're consistent. You know, it makes it easy. Once you dial it in, set and forget, and you just move. I've posted every day now for 3 years. I've done a LinkedIn Live every day, 7 days a week for 8 months. This is like brushing teeth in the morning, but it's even better because it's with so many friends now. You know, nothing I could have done with 37,000 connections, which I have, has done this in any small way. But, you know, everybody is so starved because of insulation, isolation, the COVID thing, that when they get real time with real people expressing how they feel right now and how people respond to it right now, instead of like, okay, here's a post, here's a comment, you know, it gets Allegra Light, beautiful. Personally, I've always loved a caterpillar butterfly metaphor, you know, and how, now that you've always loved it, this has allowed you to bring it back, right? And someone allowed you to do that. You have no idea how many lives this is changing in so many little small ways that could be important, because success builds on success, right?
And can I just add in there,
sure.
Don, on the back of that, the caterpillar, a butterfly metaphor is that it's about a journey. And quite often people compare themselves to other people and then look at what they're missing. What have they got that I'm missing? Mm-hmm. Rather than look back on their lives and go, wow, look how far I've come. Look what I've learned. You know, look where I'm at now from where I've come from. And I think we should look at our own journey, that butterfly, that caterpillar through the butterfly, rather than looking at other people's journeys. Yes, there's people doing better than us, but there's people also not doing as well as us. You know, so to take a really good look at your life and look at where you've come from to get to where you are now, and look at the lessons you've learned. Mm-hmm. Like I said earlier, I needed to go through that suicidal depression to break me down, to completely change my life path and change my belief system. And that's okay to do that. But we don't, at the time, it's difficult, obviously, but we don't see it at the time. But as I've moved forwards and now look back, I'm like, wow, I've moved mountains. But so we concentrate on where you've come from and where you are now, and don't look at people's lives. Look at your journey through that caterpillar to butterfly.
Oh, that's so nice. And you know, sometimes you have to wonder, where did I get this belief from? You know, how did I think like who's, you know, they say you come into the world with nothing, the worst you can do is break even, right? So everything along the way you've inherited from somebody or something. And some things you got to look at the source. I remember growing up and having a family, and everybody would, you know, uncles would come up to you and give you advice. And you thought because they're uncles and they're older, it probably has value. But one day I thought, well, who are they and what are they doing? Right? And where are they going? And that advice got them to where they are. Right? Is that where I want to go? You know, and I appreciate people's interest and wanting to help. But you got to look at the source. And at a certain point, maybe you needed that and now you don't. Maybe it fit where you were and what you thought, and now it doesn't. So, you know, it's like taking a car into the garage and refitting it, you know, and optimizing it and saying, you know, this sound system isn't as good as I'd like. You know, this is your chance to be you and the best you can possibly be that makes you the happiest you can be. Because at the end of the day, who makes the rules for you? Who tells you when you're good and when you're not? You. And you got to ask yourself, why do I want to continue to replicate what I know isn't working? You know, even in situations when there's some conflict with people, I always say to myself, well, fast forward, where is this going to go? And once you know where it's going to go, just deal with it, right? Don't have to extend the journey. Don't have to inflict more pain or suffering. If anything, it's like, hey, you know, disengage, you know. Carla, I get so many people. I think the only relevant is for ourselves to see how far we've come, what we've achieved. Now, me, the former me, anything else is a waste of time. You know, and the thing that makes Gretchen so valuable, like everybody else, is everybody's got a story to tell. You know, everybody's had something. May not be the same, but they've had to deal with it. You know, and some deal with it better than others. Some don't deal with it. But yeah, Gretchen, you know, it's the new you that is now you, not the old you. That got you to you. Once we get into what I call the dark hole, the rabbit hole, I've always shared that you claw yourself out, look down, realize who you are now, that you've gone through those times, and smile as the light is shining on you. Life is ebb and flows, but you know, there's so many other emotions involved when you're into depression. There's guilt, there's shame, you know, there's lack of forgiveness, you know, all those things, and you can justify them, right? You can make a case for all of them and you'd be right. But what I found is you just got to reduce it, honestly, to breathing. In your worst situation, you just got to say, first thing you just got to do is breathe. And the next thing you got to do is you got to eat, right? Even if it's just something. I mean, so, and that's the first step. But you know what I also found is when you got nothing to lose. And I remember one night, I mean, you couldn't believe how many things were out of control and we're going to get worse. You know, when you're in a situation where just the beginning of what you're about to get into and you don't know where it's even going to go. Is I remember going to the drugstore because I left my earbuds back. I just came in from a flight. And I got home and I left my charging thing. So anyways, make a long story short, I just said, what's going to make you happy? You know, and I ended up in that store buying this big bag of potato chips, which I don't ever eat, you know, and I used that as a way of opening up, like, you know, throw caution to the wind. And it worked, you know, because it got me through the day. You know, I was in turnarounds. And there's so many people who had the ability and gave up. And all it would have taken is someone to say, hey, go home, get a good night's sleep and think about it and come back tomorrow before you do something. But this is so impactful because it so affects everybody and everybody knows what you're saying. they've either been through it or experienced it through somebody else. And, you know, it's very valuable. I think it all comes down to this. Your story will be someone else's survival guide. I don't think I've experienced a greater feeling than helping people. You know, and again, we're talking about feeling, right? We're talking about touching people in a way, you know, that makes them want to get up. And not only get up, there's so much power in groups. People become so much bolder when they're with 10 other people doing the same thing than if they're the only person on the dance floor, right? Some people love being the only person on the dance floor, right? And other people, they get encouraged by everybody saying it's okay, you're okay, let's have some fun. We've got amend to that, Paul. This is why I dance with my skeletons. You know, and you know, why not take control, right? Why not, instead of just, okay, you know, we dealt with it, overwhelm it, you know, demonstrate what you learned in action. Christine's got a pretty good, I like looking at everything as a journey and looking back how far we've come. Looking back to when I had a depressed period in COVID, I'm surprised how distorted and hopeless my thinking of. Now I'm baby stepping into my greatness and potential. Well, you know, you don't know what a mountain is until you've experienced a valley, you know, and, you know, that's the key. What do you think? You seem pretty impressed, Sarah, with what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, there's some beautiful people out there sharing their own stories and just heartfelt about our conversations. And, you know, there's conversations springing from conversations. And it's about, I think the gist of it is about people being authentic, people understanding how other people work, and that, you know, we're not, they reflect onto us, they project onto us. We're not what they think we are. They are what they think we are, if that makes sense. And there's just some beautiful comments coming through. Thank you, Gretchen. And I just love that, you know, people can relate to what we're saying and sharing their own stories as well of overcoming. Because life can be tough. And it's about how we look at that life. And if we just concentrate on the tough parts, then we forget about all the good things that we've had in our life. And as you said earlier, Don, it's about, you know, reconnect with some of those good feelings from some of those better times when you're going through those tough times, because that will elevate you and it will elevate your mood. And when your mood's elevated, you will feel a little bit better. But also to snap, like you bought the potato chips and ate those, it was something that you didn't normally do, that you then did to kind of snap yourself out of that situation. And sometimes we have to do things that snap us out of that situation. And that was one of the reasons why I ran that online live summit earlier in January, because, you know, I've got a bit of a weird thing going on with the camera in front of me, and it doesn't elicit good feelings at the minute. And someone said, just get on and do a live. I'm like, do what? And we just need to keep stepping into our fears. And it's all it is fear of the unknown, because we quite often fear what people will think of us. We fear not being perfect. We fear messing up. So just step into those fears. And the thing is, the more that we step into the fears, the bigger our comfort zone gets. And the bigger our comfort zone gets, the more confidence we build as a result of it. So it's a cyclical process. Keep stepping into your fears. It's the only way to grow, and we will grow more through our fears and from the bottom up than we ever will when we're at the top.
Yeah, so true. And you know, when my kids were growing up, and they're pretty self-conscious and worried about what people thought and felt, and I said to them, I said, you know, there's a survey that when you die, only 10 people will come to your funeral, but if it rains, that number goes down to 7. So I said, if there's only 7 people in the world who want to take a little time to remember you. What are you worried about everybody else? Right? And you know, what I learned is I'm a fan of everybody who's my fan, and vice versa. So if it's Sunday football or my grandson's playing, it's not even close. And I think that's what people have to do. Is it's hard, but there's a saying, if it's going to be, it's up to me, you know, and whatever you do. And the key thing is do as little as you can, as comfortably as you can, and build on it. Start where you are with what you have, with who you are. But more importantly, the other saying, if I can't do it, could we do it?
Oh, like that.
Right, comes into play. So don't feel I wouldn't want to do it by myself. I don't think I would want to have to, you know, there's a saying also, don't ask for a lighter load, ask for broader shoulders, right? But also there's people who will carry you on their shoulders because they've already got the broad shoulders. They've already been through, done that. And it's a pleasure for them to get repayment on something that they've already experienced. To honor Sarah, if you can take her advice and use it for positive benefit, or share it with somebody else for positive benefit, you've made her experience even more valuable, right? So one starts at a real deficit, which is actually the point in which you get sick and tired of being sick and tired and you do something about it, right? And I think we can change, you know, LinkedIn gives us 875 million people to access. And they could expand this to everybody on the network if they thought it was relevant and worthwhile. So for us to be more relevant and worthwhile, we just have to make this more known, right? We don't have to change what we do. We just have to amplify and project more of what we do and keep grabbing friends, right? It's lonely at the top. You want to be, when you celebrate, you want everybody with you who helped you get there. You know, you want to remember everybody. And that's what these lone warriors forget about, who are doing it on their own. When they get to wherever they want to be, they're going to be by themselves. You're right. They haven't changed. It's funny that you mentioned mountain. I lived in Hawaii all my life. I didn't hike until 3 months before I left. I was reminded mountains have a peak, but we don't. When you look at it from a distance, it seems impossible, one step at a time. It's exactly right. You know, if you tell somebody, here's a 300-page book, could you read it this week? They look at it like you're crazy. But if you say, hey, can you read 1 page a day, right, for like a minute and a half, you'll read a book that you wouldn't have. And 1 minute a day will then get you to say, hey, maybe I'll do 2 pages, right? And pretty soon you're on your way. I never plan the future because I know 2 things to be true. Things that I've yet to learn, people I've yet to meet. When you factor that into the equation, you let the blend get you to where you're going, not your mind. I think the faster you can exchange your mind with your heart, you'll be further ahead of the game, and it's a lot more fun. Bernard, powerful saying. Thank you very much. Confirmation is great. Yes, don't forget this. My daughter's the biggest fan. And actually, my daughter's name is Suzanne Elizabeth. So we have that in common too. We have to apply critical thinking to advices people share with us to analyze the path everybody built, not only the path they have dreamt, but here's an extra to that. If you find people who are doing like-minded things in the same time zone, in the same time frame, looking for the same things, you don't have to qualify. You don't have to use Sales Navigator to send 100 messages to 100 strangers. For the same reason, 100 people are sending you those same messages and you're not doing anything with them, right? So the key is just, I was here in the audience, everybody would show up on the screen, I would look at their profile. If they're aligned, I'd reach out and say, hey, was on the show with you, really appreciated something you said or did or made me feel or do. Let's connect at minimum. And hey, I've got a question for you. Could you help me? And if you put anything that way, you're going to get their attention and time because you did it the right way, with gratitude, with respect. was showing that you showed a little interest and can refer to a video or a post that they said, and how it relates to you. And that's really key. How many ideas, how many thoughts, how many exchanges today have we had? And, me and Sarah haven't let up. I mean, there hasn't been a lack of energy or enthusiasm, smiling, laughing, happy. It's contagious. You ever been around people who just are uncontrollably laughing? And you don't know what they're laughing about, but you can't stop laughing just because you're around them. And I guess you could turn the tables the other way too. But yeah, we're going to wrap it up. If there's any final questions or comments, I'm here just like Sarah is for you. And, now's the time. Everybody came to this show wondering about something, hoping to get an answer for something, and probably more importantly, holding something in way too long that isn't serving you, that could use some advice, or, when you express it, it loses power, right? When you take it from the inside and let it go out, you've just opened up space. You've just said goodbye to things. Sheila's here. Sheila's great. Everybody's great, and give yourself all a pat on the back, and from this moment forward, consider yourself great. If comparison is viewed with integrity from a perspective of making the pie bigger for everyone, it can be good for everyone. Focus upon strengths to strengthen each other. Never focus upon perceived or proclaim weaknesses, which is destructive. So true. It's taking it down another level of introspection. Instead of saying, this is how I feel, this is what it is, take it to a next level to say, what's the next step besides this? Christopher's here. He's quite a guy. Hi, buddy. Got here at the end. Hi, Sarah. Any time is good time. And
can I just hop in there, Don, just to say that when we want to do something that causes us fear and anxiety, look at it from what's the smallest thing that I can do right now? Because when we look at it as a big picture and it's something big, it irritates our subconscious mind, and our subconscious mind goes, oh, I want to protect you from that because I can, I don't think you'll like it. So if we can do one tiny baby step, like you've just said, rather than read a 300-page book in one go, read one page, because one page isn't imposing. We could all take time out to read one page or do one little thing working towards something greater. And by doing that, we bypass our subconscious mind, because in our conscious mind, we're only doing this one tiny little thing. So we don't even need to wake up our subconscious, even though it's running in the back. There's no fear in doing something tiny. So our subconscious doesn't react. So, if you're looking at something bigger, just break it down into the smallest steps and do what you can when you can. And as was mentioned before, when you look back at your journey, you've come such a long way in just doing those little tiny baby steps.
Yeah, that is so empowering and encouraging. And here's an easy lesson to learn. Is if Gretchen or Sarah or so many other people like them can do it, you can do it. That's the thing, is these are people who came out the other end, and had that life experience that only you can appreciate by going through. People can tell you where you need to be and how to get there, but they can't totally transfer the feelings, the emotions, all that stuff. And it's so impactful. It's part of you, but it doesn't have to be you, and it doesn't have to be the best part of you, right? I bless everything and everybody that came into my life because they got me to where I am right now. Yeah. And I'm real pleased with where I am right now. And so you got to even thank the people who you would never think you'd thank for getting you where you need to be, that you wouldn't have gotten without them,
Yeah,
and maybe that's tough. But
those people who trigger us help us to heal. They show us what we need to heal and where we need to heal.
Well, if you touch a stove, it tells you where not to be, right? So, I mean, that's a shocker. Absolutely. Small micro changes are the ones that create exponential results. Well, little things done right to compound become huge things. And, it's more about change. That's the hardest thing, breaking a habit that has made you comfortably uncomfortable. You've learned to accommodate it. How many people know in their heart, I should be going there or doing something or being with that person, but I can't, right? Because I'm shy, because I don't have the clothes. I mean, you name it. It's usually superficial. And, like I say, you don't know what you don't know. And you don't know what is if you don't know what isn't, right? So if everybody just says, and no one gets out of here alive anyways, so why not give it all you got when you can? Tomorrow waits for nobody. You can't save an opportunity. Life is going to go on with or without you. And it's like going up a down escalator. Either you're gaining steam or you're losing it. There is no standing still. Poonam, who's a great attorney from India, okay? Legal and financial, how can you beat it? Totally agree, Gretchen Skelka. Kelly's here. Kelly was a guest host this week. Just got to talk to her a couple weeks ago, just like Sarah, and was unbelievable. And I would say Kelly and Sarah should match up. Kelly's into so much giving. She mentors young at-risk kids as in her spare time. So there's just so many people doing wonderful things. This show isn't creating these people, it's sharing these people, and it's now giving people like Kelly, like Sarah, a real place 7 days a week. It's like the gym, for LinkedIn. Where would you rather put your time and effort in where you can get benefit? Because I know what Sarah's gaining, just like I am, is a lot of third-party validation, expressing things that now get huge positive response and reaction to. It's just like a comic. If you go out with the best jokes and no one laughs, you don't think they're that funny anymore, even though it didn't change the joke. It just changed the feedback. And the more you let people participate, the more feedback you get. Can I
jump in there? Sorry. Can I jump in there?
Go ahead, please.
As I think by turning up as our true authentic self, be who you are, and you put those ripples out there to meet people who relate to the person that you are. Because quite often we've grown up and we've become somebody else in order to please others. And we meet people at that level, and we can't build lasting relationships on a level that isn't really us. So it's about get back to who you are and be who you are, and know that some of the people in your life might fall away, and that's okay, because they were aligned with that person that you used to be, who wasn't really that person that you are, if that makes sense. So the more that you turn up as your true authentic self, the more that you align with the people that you're meant to align with, and not on a superficial level. You can have deeper, meaningful relationships because you're being truly authentic.
Oh, it aligns like that, because here's another thing. It's all about perspective and context. When I look at LinkedIn Live and LinkedIn, it's a new world. It's a new culture. It's new people. You come in as the person no one knows, right? And the only thing they know is what you show, right? And you could be the best reinvented person. I know another thing for sure. People have taken potluck in life, right? They graduate from school and someone gave them a job, and that got them into financial industry. Someone knew somebody. This is your chance to start with a clean slate. Write your own dream and just be able to justify it, right? Skip 6 levels at the same time. Get there fast. And Poonam, yes, boss, okay. Okay. Promoting Sarah again. Gretchen sure got impacted. There you go. Thank you. You're very welcome. Thank you, Allegra, Camelia. And these are a couple new names I haven't seen. That's great. If this, like we talked about, one page at a time, if this grows at 1 or 2 core people a day, And then everybody reaches out. I mean, if you've got a network and you want to bring the most value, don't try to create it. If you do, that's great, but how often can you do that? But you can share other people's great value that will have continued value, and they'll remember who they got it from. So you don't have to be a direct impactor. You could be a relay impactor. And you know what happens? You get top of mind awareness. People remember where it came from, and it'll come back to you, because just like giving somebody a coffee cake when they come to your house, when you go to their house, you're going to bring a cake too, or something better maybe, and ratchet up the surprise. So, little things done right. Do what you can with who you have. If you're not happy with who you have, disassociation is as powerful as association. Reconnect, reach up. They say never be the smartest person in the room, is get around people that you can learn and grow, and they can stretch you. You want to run with the big dogs. A GOCL, formula for growth, is plain and simple. Work for each other and do as per the asking situation, no matter where we are living, but it is sure we can proceed via LinkedIn platform. Everything can be cooperated virtually, then literally or real. Okay. Yeah, you're absolutely right. We've got technology that was never available to me 8 months ago. If you would have told me a year ago, what am I doing a year from now, I'd be saying pretty much what I'm doing, plus maybe better. But I wouldn't say completely different, doing this every day. And it gives me a reason for being, because everybody has a different situation, position, timing in life. And my goal is to be relevant and to help people not have to go through what I know to be true from an old school perspective, and haven't learned yet LinkedIn on a new school perspective. So if you're going up Mount Everest, you want guides, right? You don't just want a map and equipment. You want people that have gone up and down enough times. And not only that, make it fun. There's no reason to have to sacrifice happiness for success when you can have it both, because you're the one who orders it. If you were going to a coffee shop and you were ordering eggs and whatever, right? You'd have a specific request. Don't say, I can deal with this, but I'll take that too. And okay, because that's what you're used to doing, accommodating, sacrificing. And eventually, if you accommodate yourself too much, you lose yourself to someone else, and you're building someone else's dream instead of your own. Kelly, the support and courage is impactful. Great. And it'll only get better. I'm just learning as we're going. We got a tiger by the tail here. We're not holding on too tight, so no hurt to the tiger. But this got legs, and it's gonna run. Christopher, down as a LinkedIn, you are an awesome guest. Thank you for being so complimentary. Like I mentioned this week, start stretching your giving muscles. One day, ask yourself, how much can you give to so many for so long and still feel good about it? See what your capacity is. And just like going to the gym, that's your starting point. And you'll be so surprised if you're confused now when the results start coming in. And if it makes you question something you always thought was a sure thing, it'll make you question other things that you might have thought. Here's Christopher, Don's hat deserves, oh, great. Yeah, I wanted to build an accessory to it. He needs a little something, and it's the little things. And, I don't do anything anybody else couldn't do. Right? I talked to this one lady on LinkedIn who's like in the top 5 video individuals on LinkedIn. And she said when she first started, she was like into her appearance, her clothes, her lighting. She was so professional. And she said once she started doing it from her garden or from walking through the forest, everybody aligned with her, and related to her. Nobody wants someone talking down to them or telling them stuff to do before they even got a chance to know who they are and what they need. Christopher's got his own show too. He's experienced on LinkedIn. Is an amazing site, so I'm attending this platform all the time. It's where you invest, and your currency on LinkedIn is your time. And my motto is leave the log pile bigger than you found it. So I know we're we're never overtime, because as long as people are participating, and there's questions, I'm going to be here to help answer them. Because over serving is really the best way. I remember talking to a gentleman, and he was very smart. Actually, it was Jim Rohn, back in the 90s, very big motivational speaker. And he was part of a group I was part of. He was a much bigger part. But anyways, he told me a story of one time that someone gave him just excellent service. And he was within, like, should I give him a $10 tip or a $5 tip? And I gave him the $5 tip. And he said, the whole day I was wondering, why didn't I give him that other $5? So by withholding that $5 from him, I actually distracted myself and felt bad the whole day. So his advice was, when you're between this and that, always give the bigger, because you'll never think later on, I should have given less. And if you can look back and remember something like that, why not take it forward? And, it's not painful. It's like people are so afraid of jumping out the window and they find out they've always been on the first floor, and it's like, what? And anyways, Kelly, who's going to come back on the show, she's already scheduled, Authenticity for the Win, because I want to make this about the audience, and the audience about the hosting of it. Because when you have ownership, when you have involvement, you really have family. It's one thing for people to bring you into the house. It's another thing to let you sit at the table and enjoy a meal with them. And this is all about nourishing your mind, nourishing your spirit, giving yourself a pat on the back. How many people walk up to you and say, hey, you're so great, acknowledge yourself a little bit more? Hardly ever happens, because they're looking for that from somebody else, right? And everybody's going empty, when all somebody had to do is lock arms with someone, hold hands with someone, and start moving with them. And both of you will go in places you could have never gone or thought of going without each other. And if Sarah would have not been here, it wouldn't have been what it is, right? And that changed history for all these people, in my mind. And why not over optimize? When people say they predict the future in so many negative ways, how do you know? Why not predict the future in so many wonderful, miraculous ways, and maybe get 80% of the way there, knowing you only got 50 if we just set a normal goal, and got more people to more places. So with that, if there isn't any, do have a quote I love: if the happiness doesn't show, go and catch it yourself. Find the people who are going through the same path as yours. Everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time, right? And nobody's better or worse than anybody else. And if you are, and you believe you're better than somebody else, then do better than everybody else, right? If you take the credit, share the benefit, right? Because that's a benefit on itself. Absolutely. I can't thank everybody for showing up again. It's so great when the same people show up, but not only that, but you can see everybody getting better for it. Everybody's starting to blossom, in ways that they never could have or would have, because it's really having fertile soil, nourishing, benefit added to you, sunshine. And to me, smiling and laughing is a great measure of how successful you were today. If you can count the smiles, the laughter, and measure against, because I know so many people are doing 10,000 steps, 8,000 steps. They're so focused on their physical presence, but it's your emotional, your spiritual, your mental state that makes you healthier and makes you want to be more physical, right? Exercise. When you're in a good mood, things just happen. It's almost like you got a tailwind for the first time instead of a headwind. Allegra, thank you for another empowering chat with incredible people. Love meeting Sarah and so many others on here. Thank you, Don, for helping to bring us all together. Well, if there's, and that's what I stress. Do your core competency, and then open up the opportunity to everybody else who can do better and enjoys it more. And my goal, again, is just a facilitator, keeping it straight, making sure it's safe. But more importantly, bringing the best of the best who would have never had this opportunity. So it's definitely a win-win-win situation. And we can start putting some more wins behind it if we can get more messages out. And what I would say is share this. When it's over, just hit the share button. It's going to get more exposure. And what's going to happen is there's going to be better and more knowledge here because there's going to be more diversity, more people on it. And now instead of sharing what you have with 8 people, now you can share it with 30 or 40 people. And your audience who sees you is going to get bigger. And I know for sure, Sarah's already got 3 or 4 people that want to know more about her book, want to get with her and know more about her. And that's the best exposure Sarah could have gotten because it's earned. It's not told. It's not starting out. You don't have to learn. I'll just tell you, and then you'll know it. And then based on knowing it, you'll do it. I mean, that is so simplistic and unrealistic versus I'm here for you. I care about you. I want to help you. And then once you sample something, there's a strategy in sales called the puppy strategy. And you go if you want a wonderful home for a puppy, you go to a family with 2 kids and you say to them, can you take care of my puppy till Monday? Right? And it's Friday. You go there Monday, you're not getting that puppy back. Right? And it's the same thing. Once people see it, once people feel it, once people know it, it's not a risk. It's an investment in themselves. And a lot of times you don't invest enough in yourself. It's better to buy some vowels to solve the puzzle, like LinkedIn Wheel of Fortune, than it is to guess. And just knowing tomorrow is going to be better than today makes today better than it would have been, right? And one day carries you into another day, but you lift yourself to the next day. And the thing again, if you can't do it, could we? Or the next thing is, could we all do it? Oh, manual, we can share with a lot of people who we are in seconds from our own bed. It was impossible 20 years ago, but we don't use the technology because we are not prepared to share who we are. We have to work hard with ourselves. Hey, that is so profound. I couldn't have said it better. I tell this story quite a bit about the acre of diamonds, right? Where somebody's got a farm, always want to be a diamond hunter, sold the farm, went diamond hunting, lost everything. The person who bought it drilled for some water and found the biggest diamond field, in their country, right? And it was always there underneath their feet. Kelly, loved the puppy analogy. Well, that's the thing. A picture's worth 1,000 words, right? And that's all you got to do is illustrate. Let people fill in the blanks. You don't ask a riddle and then give the answer right after, right? So why not say, hey, and once people know they got the power, they forgot. We meet here on LinkedIn with all walks of life. So true.
It is such a good place to be, isn't it, in LinkedIn, because there are people all over the world from all different walks of life with all different abilities. But yet here we all are supporting each other, helping each other. And that's how life should be.
Absolutely. And you know what I just learned, because this gets everybody thinking, if it only takes a little bit every day to make progress, then all you need to do is give a little bit to people who need that little bit to make progress, right? So it goes both ways. You don't have to write a check for $1 million or travel around the world. Like I said, I met this lady who was a keynote speaker, really a big player in corporate America. And after the speech, I said to her, what got you here? Boy, that's an amazing story. And she told me, one day I was walking on a bridge and I was 10 years old and I had red hair and green eyes, and I thought I was the ugliest person in the world. And this older gentleman's walking, towards me, and then he comes right up to me and he looks at me, he says, "You've got the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen," and he walked on. And she said, once I heard that, everything changed. Because most people need third-party validation. They need someone to say, hey, you're great. I don't know why you're even thinking that way. or we just love you and we need you, you know. And when you find a place of love and need and support, where are you going to go? You know, no one's going to cut their nose to spite their face, you know, and that's so key. Good energy ignites good energy. I'm using LinkedIn services, and well, a veteran there, Poonam, Carla goes, okay. Well, with that said, and you know what I'm planning on doing is expanding this, you know, keep taking it to another step. And the next thing I'm thinking is a collaboration work group that meets like an hour a week, you know, that people can really lay stuff down in like a tab or a Vistage thing in the traditional world, but really, you know, focus on whatever it is, but get special attention. And the other thing that having Sarah and Kelly and Gretchen is maybe doing an event with, you know, some of our co-hosts, you know, where we can, you know, really come together maybe once a month or whatever it is, and really expand the community. And here's the other thing. This has already overwhelmed me and outrun me, right? And I have a beautiful quality of life with a wonderful family. I'm looking to share opportunity. I'm looking to include people in opportunity. If you can see something here that you can make something of and participate, I want to do that. You know, why not be successful on every level? And it doesn't say you can't monetize, but here's the thing. I don't want to make money off of people. I want to make money with and for people. And if you do something big enough, there's enough for everybody, right? You don't have to like get the last piece. And I don't even care about that. You know, people who think so much about money typically never had any. You know, because once you get it, you find out it doesn't do, unless you're modest and humble to begin with, and then you make a big deal of it. But once you experience, you say, you know, there's one last thing I'll share with you. Someone told me the biggest nightmare they have is being on their deathbed. And all around them is all the people that love them, their family, their friends, everybody who meant so much to them. And they think to themselves, what could I have done not to be here today? Right? And Og Mandino, who was one of the greatest personal development players, once said, if anybody in this room is a millionaire, and there was like 400 or 500 people, raise your hand, and like 2 people raised their hand. And he said, I'll prove in a second everybody's a millionaire. And he said, how much would you give for your eyes or your ears or your legs? I mean, how many millions are there? And he said, if that doesn't move you, go to the obituary page and ask who wouldn't trade places with you right now, right? And it's just perspective and context that you're working with. If you come from fear, you move to more fear and vice versa. So I think we've reinforced that. I got to say goodbye because I know people have things to do. Giving sincere compliments feels good too, for sure. Whatever makes you feel good makes you do good and be good. That's it. It can completely change a person's life. It does.
Yeah.
You are blessed. I'm grateful. Blessings back to everyone. You can never be blessed enough. Friends are real money because they're there when no one else will be. So with that said, thank you very much. Come back tomorrow. Gretchen Skelka is going to be in the house, and you know Gretchen. You're going to start your week off great. With that, we'll talk again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been lovely to be with you all.
And Sarah, it's been lovely to have